What up, guys? We are on another double digit podcast. I believe this is podcast number 8. If you're following along, thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you give us a rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have AJ in the house right here from Nevada, and we're going to be covering like why fish Nevada, what's like some of the craziest weather in Nevada that he has fished in, and what are the best times to go to Nevada to fish. Then we're going to be talking about how he got started in bass fishing and kayak fishing. Also go deeper into how fishing could help, former vets, Marine Corps, Navy, etc. In fishing, and why he decided to, form a community in Nevada full of kayak fishermen. And then, what goodies has he bought in the last, let's say, 6 months, like Christmas gifts or Black Friday gifts. But let's get into it. So, AJ, tell me, how was your day so far?
Good, man. Just finished up work, kind of raced home, shoved some food in my mouth, to the kiddo, to the wife, and then came out here and get this thing hop on so I can get this thing rolling.
What did you guys eat tonight?
Some I don't know how to like the Euro wraps. You familiar? Like
Euro wraps.
Mediterranean type Euro wraps with the white tzatziki sauce and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is that like from your cultural background, or is that just the dinner of the day?
His wife just hooked it up. That was it.
And you pronounce your last name is Gagliardi?
Gagliardo.
Gagliardo.
Yep.
And is that Italian, or what is that?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
Yep, Italian. Mm-hmm.
Is Italian people known for bass fishing or carp fishing, or what is it?
There's a Anthony Gagliardi, if anybody's familiar with like MLF. He's a I guess it would be the closest thing that I know to any Gagliardo.
You know what? I think I've heard of him.
Yeah, he does pretty well, man.
He's well known, right?
What's that?
He's a well-known angler, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. Sweet.
Yeah. But as far as any others, I don't know a whole ton.
Yeah. I see that you have that toy in the back there, that kayak over there. Did you just recently get that, or you have what is that, the Recon 120?
Yeah, so I had originally bought after my first kayak, which was a Ascend 10T. I think like most of us start out, right? We get a $400 kayak, whatever. And I moved up to a Recon 120 in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
I drove all the way up from Las Vegas to Kayak City up in, was that Sacramento, right?
Yeah, Northern California.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Grabbed that one. That was my first Recon 120. Did some stuff to that one, fished out of it for a little while, absolutely loved it. Mm-hmm. And then I had a little offer that kind of was to hook me up with a Hobie. So I ended up doing some sales with a shop that's out of Lake Havasu for a little while. Mm-hmm. I was acting as like their rep for Las Vegas. And so with that, I ended up finding myself into a Hobie Outback. It was a 2022 Hobie Outback. And, mm-hmm. and man, as the reputation, man, that Hobie carries is insanely good, but I couldn't find myself at home in that kayak, man. It just wasn't the same as my Recon. And I had gained some confidence in my Recon. I'd really started to get
go deeper into that. Like, what was the biggest difference between the Recon and the Outback? Like, just straight up.
So I would say that the Outback would probably be, in my opinion, better suited for skinnier water, something a little bit more mellow. Maybe not like these big lakes out here, Lake Mead, Lake Mojave. They can just become relentless when weather picks up. They're just surrounded by bowls, like these canyons that they're in. There's nowhere for the wind to go other than to just create havoc. So once these windstorms start picking up, that Outback, it just didn't seem like it was as sturdy. I was always soaking wet in it, and I knew that I was going to be fishing year round and stuff. So I just went back to what I was comfortable in. I got into another Recon 120. The guys over at Kayak City or at Kayak Fishing Supplies, they're the ones that hooked me up with this most recent one. But it's one of a kind. It's bow mounted. I got some cool things mounted on there.
It looks like you have a Blackpack Pro in the back. You
Yep,
have your standard catch board, the polycarbonate or the metal one?
the metal one. Yeah, I got one of the
Okay,
blue metal ones. I
nice.
run an XI3. I did a
What
uh,
breaker are you running? What battery are you running on there?
I'm running an Eternal Lithium 100 amp
Eternal?
hour. I don't know if
Oh,
you guys are,
okay. I
if
heard
you're
of
familiar
them.
with those ones,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't know if he's the only owner or if he's
Mm,
the owner. But he's actually out here local in Las Vegas, so he
nice.
hooks up a lot of our anglers and the community that we have started kind of, the bass boats and stuff like that are all been helping us get started. And the owner from that does bass boating or whatever, but those
Oh,
batteries,
okay.
we're eating them up over here. They're Bluetooth capable. You can check
C
your,
Pro. No,
yeah.
just kidding.
Hey, I will tell you, man. I was I'm directing for Slay Nation out here in
Yeah.
Nevada, and they just signed Z Pro as their big main sponsor. So I'm,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, you gotta give it up to Z Pro for sponsoring, giving out to the community. That's
oh yeah,
always
man.
it's always
Yep.
nice when, like, a brand actually helps the community. It looks like that chair on the Recon is a little bit higher than an Outback from what I've noticed too.
Yeah,
Is that one of the reasons why you got so wet on your Outback is because it sat lower?
yeah. That and the sides are just a little bit higher up, more I would say like reminiscent of like a PA-14. Like they just have a real
Oh, okay.
deep kayak, so it
Deep
kind of
like a deep hole, sort of.
yeah.
Okay.
But that seat is a little bit higher. It's just like your driver's seat of your car. You just pull up a little lever, slides back and forth.
Okay,
So
cool.
makes catching a fish and landing it, and then doing your photo and all that stuff. I mean, you just slide the seat all the way back, and you have
Really? It does that?
just tons of room.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I need a demo out of Recon 120.
yeah.
That's pretty
It
awesome.
I think that they're up there with they had the potential to be pretty popular boats, but man, they just don't seem to market them as often as or as much as I would anticipate. You know,
Yeah, maybe more wild on the east side or south.
yeah.
The Recons are probably more popular, but it just seems like in the West Coast, it's either PA or Old Town, pretty
Oh, for
much.
sure. Or
Yeah.
Bonafides. Those Bonafides, man. Once,
No, the Bonafide in West Coast, I don't know if it's taken
uh,
off.
yeah,
Not in the West Coast, but Bonafide in the East Coast and down south, it's pretty popular for the tributaries and stuff.
yeah.
So like, let's say if like someone's wanting to travel, like we get a lot of pressure in SoCal and Northern California, and we want to check out like a body of water that's new. We possibly go on a road trip because honestly, I believe I have more fun going on trips with the homies, like kayak ditch day, and just traveling and going renting an Airbnb. That's pretty much like for me, that's 80% of the fun of a fishing trip is hanging out with your guys, chilling, making some good memories, eating out over a Mexican restaurant or something, enjoying some tacos. Uh, why would someone like pick up their bags and go leave for Nevada to go fishing?
So, for Southern Nevada, at least speaking
Mhm.
on our area, I mean, Nevada is a huge. It's just like California.
Yeah.
You go all the way from the bottom to the top. It's a 8-9 hour drive. So, I haven't fished a whole ton up north, but I can
Mhm.
speak on Southern Nevada. We have two major bodies of water. We have Lake Mead and Lake Mojave. And so the way for those who maybe don't know or not familiar,
Mhm.
Colorado River dumps into Lake Mead, fills up, and then fills that rolls into Lake Mojave. Lake Mojave rolls into Havasu, and then so forth. Right.
Okay.
So, but that being said, they do fish all very very differently, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So from a fishing aspect, if you were and I'm going to talk on black bass because that's kind of my wheelhouse. That's where I'm most
Okay.
comfortable. We have a
Yeah.
very very large community of striper fishing out here,
Mhm.
um, and some of the stripers that these folks are landing, 30-pound fish inside of a kayak, or
That's huge.
we have a buddy who's in our group that he posted. This must have been 6 to 8 months ago or so. I think it
Mhm.
was a 20-something-pound fish on a paddleboard. Like,
What are you
just
thinking, like, in terms of, in lengthwise? How long of a fish is that? Is like 30 inches? Over
Yeah, no,
30?
it'd be probably 36 to 40.
Oh, wow.
Big fish. Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
it would take quite a while to get one of those things landed in a kayak for sure.
That's
But
awesome.
yeah,
So if you're looking for big stripers, what lake am I going to in Nevada?
Lake Mojave and Lake Mead are both pretty good for that. From what I understand, Lake Mead has a little section called Hemingway, or sorry, not
Mhm.
Hemingway, Willow Beach.
Willow
And from what I
Beach.
understand, that's where a lot of good looking fish come out of. And
Do you have any cool striper stories yourself?
to be honest, no, I just catch the runts on accident when I'm looking
You
for
catch the
smallmouth or
runs.
largemouth. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't hooked into a monster or anything like that. I don't target them too
Mhm.
often, but I should. And I actually went out and I bought a guy in our club was selling a depths 175 like trout.
Oh,
You know,
cool.
I'm like, all right, maybe I'll take the plunge, but I haven't thrown it yet. So.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's
but we
definitely a dedication.
yeah, we do have a good fishery for smallmouth. I think
Mhm.
if anybody was going to be, you know, if anybody made the trip down here and was looking to do specifically something that maybe they can't do everywhere else,
Mhm.
I would say Lake Mojave and to get on a smallmouth bite
Yeah.
um, early spring. Um, that whole spring season is you can't go wrong. I mean, you'll catch
Oh, really?
19 and a half inch smallmouth is not uncommon. I've seen
Really?
people pull 21-inch smallmouth out of there, just monsters. It's
So
ultra.
to win a tournament in springtime, like let's say Lake Mojave where there's smallmouth. You said smallmouth in Lake Mojave, right?
Yeah.
What
Mhm.
do you think would be an average bag in a kayak tournament
Oh,
for 5?
well, so it would definitely be a mixed bag because I think quite a few folks realize that if they're gonna win, they're probably gonna have to get on a largemouth bite because the
Mhm.
largemouth out here are they're consistently bigger.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
but I mean, if a guy could do it for sure. I mean, if you got on the right smallmouth, or especially if it was bedding season and he was able to identify which ones, he could probably put together,
Maybe a mixed bag of 95, maybe?
95 is pushing it.
Yeah.
I would say low 90s would probably high 80s, low 90s would probably be
Oh,
realistic.
okay. So you're thinking about maybe one 19-inch kicker, and the
Yeah,
rest of them are like 16 to 17s
yeah,
or
and
so.
that would be common. Like I think that would be
Okay.
definitely doable.
Okay.
But that's Lake Mojave. I mean, just north of it, over the Hoover Dam, is Lake Mead. And
Mhm.
in my opinion, I mean, I'm relatively new to fishing and all that in general, but from my experiences over the last couple of years that I've been fishing, I mean, I go out at least once a week, and I think I got a good idea, like a good handle on what the fish are
Mhm.
doing now, and I'm kind of figuring things out. And I think that they fish just completely different. And the funny thing about that is, not only do they fish different from each other with only a dam that separates them, they fish both different than anywhere else that I've been in the country. Like I've been through, Arizona, Utah, Nevada,
Mhm.
California fishing now, and you hear all these videos and stuff, and you talk about guys like, when the temperature of the water is from here to here, you can anticipate that the fish are going to be doing this.
Mhm.
And we go out to Lake Mead, like me and my buddy were out there a couple days ago, and he's throwing a crankbait up in 2 feet of water catching largemouth, and the water temperatures are like low 50s. It's
Mhm.
just weird stuff, and so they fish very different. But Lake Mead and Lake Mojave would probably be the two. Um, that would be why people would come out here. Plus, they're
Nice.
45 minutes from the Las Vegas Strip. So
When's the best time? Like springtime is the best time to go out there?
yeah, so and that's the
Okay.
thing. So like right now we're in our winter season, right? And it's a
Mhm.
pretty mild winter. I'm sure you could imagine just being in the desert and stuff out here.
Yeah.
We don't get a whole lot of weather, a whole lot of super freezing temperatures, but it does get pretty cold. It's not uncommon to have 20-degree temperatures, early in the morning when you're trying to launch your
Yeah.
kayak. But the water temperatures rarely go below 50s. Um,
So you still get that West Coast weather where we don't really have a dead winter, really.
no, no, we're pushing.
You guys did get a little bit of snow, right? Like in October, I'd say late October. Or was that just Arizona?
Probably just Arizona. Our
Oh,
mountain
okay.
ranges surrounding
Yeah.
Las Vegas, I mean, they're
Mhm.
getting pummeled right now as we speak. I mean, we've been getting rain and snow
Mhm.
for a couple days now, but not in the valley of Las Vegas, never, and
Oh, okay.
definitely not out towards the lakes.
Is the rain helping a lot? Is there rain coming into Nevada right now as we speak and filling up Lake Mead and Mojave pretty good, or
It helps, but it's I don't know if you're familiar with all the drama that's going on with Lake Mead and the
no?
water
What's the
level.
drama?
So I'm not um, I'm not 100% like
Mhm.
on board with
Don't
like
take your word
how.
for oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So from what I understand is the
Yeah.
Colorado runs into Lake Mead, Lake Mojave down to Havasu, and everybody gets a little piece of that water, right? So Arizona gets some
Oh.
water, Nevada gets some water, Utah, whatever. However, they have it broken up, right? And for the last 20 years, it's been
Mhm.
slowly dropping, 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 dropping. Well, over the course of last couple years, we are consistently lowering to record numbers. Like it's at the lowest it's ever been. Um,
So, I
without
mean, the drought is contributing, but
Yeah, without a good snowpack up in the Rockies,
mhm,
like I mean, it would have to be a consistent couple years of the Rockies just getting absolutely um, just hammered with
hammered
snow,
with snow,
and then
yeah.
that snow runoff was what fills the Colorado and obviously and feeds down to us. But right now, it's just super low, and it continues to drop every day. We're having to move launch ramps, and they're
Mhm.
they're extending ramps and all that kind of stuff, and it's unfortunate to see, but I'm hopeful that it'll either bounce back or at least the kayaks. I mean, it's still
Hey, shoot, that'll prevent some bass boats getting in, but it'll never prevent a
right.
kayaker to get in.
Well, and that it's funny that
Yeah.
you say that too because this season Lake Mead has been pretty much shut down, and so we go out kayaking in Lake Mead and Lake Mojave. In order to drive all the way around both of them,
Mhm.
it would probably be a 2-day trip. They're huge, and you
Oh,
have to,
okay.
and so you can't just go. It's not like Paris, Lake Paris, or I'm not
Mhm.
sure what lakes you're familiar with, San Vicente, where you can go from one end
Yeah,
to the other. It's nothing like that. It's you go to one
it's
launch ramp
huge.
and the whole day there.
Oh, wow.
It's
Okay.
massive. Um,
Damn.
but yeah, you can see the difference when you go out and fish. This
Mhm.
this last winter there was no bass boat tournaments on Lake Mead. If there was, there were very few of them, and the
Are
pressure.
you allowed to launch a kayak still?
Yeah,
Oh, wow. So you're talking about less pressure, not a lot of bass boats,
right.
getting in the way or anything.
Yeah,
That's awesome, man. And
yeah,
that's probably one of the biggest reasons why kayakers should get into fishing in Nevada because it's pretty exclusive to kayaks. The bass boat ramps are probably pretty much out of the water, right?
yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. So like tell me a little bit about how tough it is during the summer, like the craziest conditions that you fished in before. Do you have
So,
any stories on that?
uh, I'm sure. Yeah, I could talk for days about the weather out here. Is You have to be monitoring the wind. The wind is the biggest issue that we have out here.
Mhm.
I'll go out and I'll launch the kayak in the rain that we've been having for the last couple of days, but the wind out here is relentless because once it gets up over 8 to 10 miles an hour, like I
Mhm.
said, it creates those waves, but those waves have nowhere to go. They don't really have a whole lot of beach to come up and break
Mhm.
on. So they slam into these 100-foot rock walls and then they
Oh, yeah.
come off of that. And so it just churns up the entire lake and it becomes violent very, very quickly. So
Have you
yeah,
gotten caught in that before?
yeah, oh yeah, and then we also get monsoons out here in the summertime. So it's not uncommon for you to go out on a bluebird sky day, and the next thing you know, you're like laying your fishing rods down, hoping that you don't get struck by lightning, like trying to make it back to the ramp. It's hailing.
Tell me a time where it just started pouring on you,
So we were
or if
actually
it
a
was
little bit.
super hot. Yeah, tell me a
Yeah,
little
so
bit
we were
about
actually a little bit south. We were doing a fishing tournament on Lake Havasu, which is only a couple hours from here, 2 hours here,
mhm,
but it's all basically the same river system. And yeah, me and my buddy Bundit, we cross over, we play Frogger with all these boats, all these wakeboard boats and pleasure boats. It
mhm,
must have been July, and we make it across this channel, and it's probably a 2 mile long like cross,
mhm.
through boat traffic and stuff like that. We finally make it across. We start fishing. Life's good, and the bite was insane. It was awesome. But yeah, just out of nowhere, the water turned black, the sky turned black, thunder, lightning, the whole deal. So we ended up beaching our kayaks for a little bit, hung out for a second, and then once we had a little bit of a break, we beelined it across back again. And yeah, that wave or those waves and that weather, man, that's when it changes quick out here. And if you
Wow.
if you don't really pay attention to the weather apps and all that kind of stuff, man, you can get caught in it, and it's no good. A lot of
Wow.
us carry radios out here too, which is I feel a little bit uncommon in other areas, but
Mhm.
um, yeah, we all
So
have.
when you fished California, SoCal, it was like a breeze to you guys.
Oh, I wouldn't say a breeze. No, I don't know if I'd say breeze at all, but it was getting around was easy for sure, but
In
fishing was
California,
a little
in,
different.
you fished what? San Vicente, right?
I fished San Vicente,
Yeah.
Otay, Lake Paris,
Yeah,
and
those don't get as rough, right? Compared to,
Lake
like,
Paris got a little
Mojave.
hairy, but it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah,
a lot of
Paris
people,
could get a bit hairy. Yeah.
yeah, I remember a lot of people were actually coming back towards the ramp on that day at Paris, and I tried to make the most of it, and I went down towards the dam.
Are you talking about, was that on day 2 of the ABA or day
It was.
that
It was when.
was
It
that
was
was day
when
2, wasn't it? Or was it day 1? I forgot. No, it was day 1.
day one, because day two was
Was
glass.
bluebirds.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
glass, bluebird sky, way
I
different
watched.
conditions.
Yeah. So I didn't have spot lock on that. That was still when I was in my old recon. And when I went
Oh,
and I
okay.
crossed that, I told Bundit, who was out there with us,
Mhm,
and I said, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go down towards the dam because the wind is blowing this way." In my head, I thought, the water's gonna churn up all that riprap, any
mhm.
crawdads or any, like all this bait is just gonna be free for the taking up there for any bass that's over there. So I think I was in the right. I had, the right mindset, and I made it down there, and I fought the wind, but I didn't have any spot lock or anything like that. And I sat there and I watched John D. Monet just freaking hammer him that day. I was probably 200 yards away from him, 100 yards away from him, and
On day 1?
yeah, and I just watched him just hammer these fish,
What
and I'm
was he really throwing? Do you know? Could you see from a distance what he was throwing?
no, I couldn't. There I was just more like, I was consistently getting blown into the riprap. So I was like, pedaling back, trying to cast a
Mhm.
line, getting blown back. So I didn't have a whole lot of time, but I can remember looking up and just every time I looked up, his
He had a
rod was
fish.
his rod was bent, or he was
Yeah, he was
tossing
finding a
something back that he was,
fish.
yeah.
Yeah. He's
But
a
after that,
hammer, like,
I was like, I'm gonna need spot lock. That's gonna be one of my first investments, and
was he sitting on a spot and catching him over and
yeah.
over again, or was he working the bank that
While
day?
I was down there, it looked like he was sitting on just one area.
He was sitting on one area. Well,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
The
the
dude,
guys were
the dude
trying to
can hammer,
figure
man.
out what he was doing because that was a huge bag. Was that a 100-inch bag that he had? I think he had like 102 or 103 or something that day
I couldn't remember,
at
to be honest.
Paris. Out of all
There
lakes, like Paris.
there was 4 of us from Nevada that went out there,
Yeah.
and I think out of the 4 of us, only one of us put any fish on the board. Maybe 2 of us did, but I was not one of them, admittedly.
Well, I mean, it was a tough, tough day of fishing, man.
Dude, I couldn't put it together. I tried the tires, I tried the trees, I tried the wall, nothing. I was like, it's just nothing was working.
I think the fish kept on moving that day. Like they couldn't stop moving. You would just have to like get them at the right time when they show up. You know what I mean?
Yep,
I don't know. I didn't do so well that tournament, but I did finish 7th, but I only caught one fish. That's how hard it was on day
yep.
2.
And I
It's
remember looking
crazy.
at that too. I'm like, "Dude, guys are cashing checks, and they had like 4 fish on the board."
Oh yeah, I only had 4. I had 3 the first day and 1 the second day. That was
Oh
tough.
yeah, Elric's right here. He's in the comments. He said he got 2. So yeah, it was tough for us Nevada guys out there. So yeah, we might be a little bit used to bigger water just with
Yeah.
having fished Lake Mead and
And
Mojave.
not sharing spots. Like I'm sure that when you went to Paris, you're just like, wow, this is small compared to.
So we have 2 other fisheries. Well, actually, we have a quite a few other little fisheries within like a 2-hour drive. So like a lot of us will go to southern Utah to fish some of their stuff too. And one of the ones that we frequent quite a bit, or 2 of the lakes that I frequent quite a bit, are about the size of Paris. So we're pretty
Okay.
used to it. We actually did a
Oh,
joint
okay.
tournament. Yeah, we actually did a joint tournament last season with the Utah kayak club out there, and
Oh, yeah, that's with Cody, right? Cody and Cayman.
yeah, that's where they all got. Yeah, that's where they all started out, and we got together with those folks, and we did
Mhm.
my trail and their trail, and I think we had 73 or 74 kayaks on that little body of water.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a good turnout, man. It was really good. A lot those
I'm
Utah folks, they show out. There's a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys collaborated and just a lot of it is not just winning these tournaments and competing, it's just the camaraderie that you develop between each
Yeah,
other. Super cool guys, and you just learn new ways to catch fish all the time.
yeah.
Um, so wait, how did you get started into fishing?
So it's funny that you bring that up because I was thinking, like, if he asks this, how am I going to answer it? It's funny because I listen to so many podcasts. Like
Mhm.
I'm I'm in like I listen to quite a few, and it's when that question gets asked, it's always like there's always guys that are like, oh, like Papa had me out on his boat, and he used to do bass tournaments, and I've had a rod in my hand since I was 4 or 5. Man, I didn't catch my first bass until I was 25 years old. I literally just got started in this. I grew up fishing, for trout and stuff like that up in the mountains every now and again, but
Mhm.
never competitively, never for bass. And so, yeah, I actually got my start, I guess you would say, in kayak fishing just a couple years ago. I had seen it before when I was stationed back east in Virginia. I'd seen some folks
Mhm.
go out while we were doing some training. They went out on a lake and couple of kayaks, and I remember seeing these things like sticking out of the back of their kayaks, and I'm in my head I'm thinking like, because I was in the military at the time, and like I wasn't thinking fishing like at all. I think they're just going out there with like these antennas sticking out of their kayaks.
Mhm.
I'm like, what the heck is going on? And then I realized that's what they were doing, and I thought it was kind of interesting. And but being stationed there and living in a dorm, and I wasn't gonna go and buy a kayak and get into it and stuff like that. I didn't have the means to do it at the time, but that kind of always stuck with me. And I was like thinking when I got out of the military, like grew up racing BMX and riding dirt
Mhm.
bikes and all that kind of stuff, and tried to get back into it a couple times. And man, those slams, they just hurt. They hurt longer. They hurt worse. It's just as you get
Mhm.
older, those you're not a kid anymore. So after I became a fireman, which is what I do now, I tried to get back into racing and took one good slam, and I was like, I got to find something else. And it was just at that time that I caught that fish, that the first bass, and I was kind of
Mhm.
hooked on that from the moment that I actually set the hook on it. I was like, oh, okay, something just kind of
It's
clicked.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was
The
like,
tug is the drug, man.
dude, I'll
Tug
tell
is
you
the
what.
drug.
And yeah, man. So I kind of got in. I was like, well, to get outside or to go and just kind of blow off some steam, I'm just gonna go fish. So I was consistently just beating the bank, and then I
Mhm.
saw these kayaks again, antennas sticking out of the back of their thing. I'm like, what the heck are you guys doing? And yeah, tried to get my stepdad into it. I was like, hey, let's go get some kayaks, and try this out, and we ended up getting like a 16-foot canoe, like this 2-man canoe, right? So if you've ever fished out of one of these canoes, man, he's like gung ho about it, right? He's all about hunting and fishing. He's like, oh, the canoes are the way, and
It's like Pocahontas. Just
yeah, man. I yeah, man. I was like, we did the canoe thing for a little while, but I couldn't load it onto my truck by myself. It was a 2-person deal, like you know what I mean. And he couldn't go all the time, so I finally got a hold of some dude who was selling
Mhm.
a 10-foot ascend.
Okay.
And just I think
Yeah.
quite a few of us start out like that and got into that thing. And man, I was out, like I said, I've been out probably every weekend. Well, not weekend, but every week at least once for the last
Did you
year.
still fish with your stepdad or no?
Yeah, every now and again we'll try to get out there. He does a lot more like trout fishing. He has like a
Oh,
not a
okay.
float tube, but some similar setups like that he goes out with a lot of his buddies and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
They're like die-hard outdoorsmen where like like that's they mix it in with like hunting, and they go out on
Oh, yeah.
the whole thing. So
Yeah, kind of like, Matthew Brannon. He's a
mhm,
big duck hunter.
yep,
Um, the Garcias are hunters as well.
Yep.
Um, so does he have his own? He doesn't have his own kayak yet. He should
No,
get a kayak.
he's like, no, I don't know if he had a bad experience with a kayak one day. I'm assuming like maybe he flipped like a old Sun Dolphin or something. I don't know, but
Yeah.
he's like, no way. But he's
You should
content with his
for like for Christmas. You should just get him like a 120 autopilot or something.
yeah,
Because like those kayaks, I'm sure they're flippable. But like when I stepped on one of those, I think it was an autopilot 136. It's like stepping on the floor, man.
right.
It's glued onto the water. It's impossible to flip it, I
And
think.
that's the confidence I have in this thing over here,
Oh,
man.
really?
Oh
Is
yeah.
that pedal or is that just all motor? Pedal and motor?
It's pedal. I have the pedals out right now, and I
Mhm.
closed off the where the drive is, the well, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I just run the XI3 on it, and
Oh,
then
okay.
for some of the tournaments, like if I run into something where motors aren't allowed, then I'll just drop the pedals back in. But
So Recon is sort of like has the same stability as an Old Town. Have you
um,
demoed a Old Town before?
no,
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 not yet. Oh,
mm,
okay.
I paddled around a couple Hobies.
Mhm.
Yeah, no Old Towns, I don't think.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
We got Maxley saying, "Get a new canoe. You can hunt and fish in it."
Yeah, I've seen. I
No, I demoed both of them. They're both great boats. The Unlimited super fast. The PA super fast. The new canoe it was harder to get to turn like on a dime. Like you can't just position your boat real quick on a dime.
mm,
And then the PA you could position it real fast. Um, but then I also know that the new canoe is like super wide. You could put like one of your catch boards and measure a fish, no problem in it. You can stand on it, no problem. It's super stable. A lot of people say it has that rocky feeling, but I feel like it's similar between the new canoe unlimited and the PA-14 have a similar rocking feeling for
do
me
you
at least.
you're located like central or northern California?
I'm located in like LA, Los Angeles.
Do you do
Like
any like
deep.
saltwater stuff at all?
No, I don't. I don't do
No, I was curious. Like, do you, if you know of any guys that take the like a new canoe out into the salt, or is that not? I've
um
really heard. I see quite a
I
few dudes doing
think
it.
so. Maybe Carrie Pillar takes it out. I think I see new pursuits out there too.
Mm,
Um, but majority of the time, if you're seeing someone out on the salt, they're on a Hobie majority of the time or
are they?
an Old Town. It's either
Yeah,
the Hobie or Old Town if they're out in the ocean.
gotcha. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one thing I have no experience with. But man, I actually took my old Recon 120 on a camping trip when we were in Huntington Beach,
Hmm.
and we went down from Huntington Beach that same weekend. That was the first tournament I ever fished, which was out at Otay with SoCal kayak anglers. But it took everything in my being, like, not to take that thing out. I wanted to take it out into the freaking saltwater so bad, and I've never been on the
You
ocean
haven't?
kayak other than when I was stationed in Hawaii for a little while, and we had like just the old rental like
Yeah.
ocean kayak. I think that's
I'm
actually
pretty sure your boat would do well for the spotted bay bass. Like in the
yeah.
bay,
See,
no
there's
problem.
guys who up in like the I guess Sacramento area or wherever, and
Mhm.
I've seen them go out quite a bit. They go like lobstering and all that kind of stuff.
With the recon.
Mhm.
Does what's his name? Does the outdoor chef, does he have a recon? Which one does he have? I didn't
I
know.
no, I think he's in a Old Town, right?
I don't even know. It's a yellow boat. I'm not even sure who makes a yellow boat these days. It's like bright neon yellow.
Huh.
Let's get into like how like as a veteran, um, how do you feel like fishing being a positive atmosphere for a veteran?
Um, man, it's I'm not like a mental health like expert by any means, right?
Mhm,
But I think that having come from the military and then being a fireman now and all that kind of stuff, we were exposed a little bit more to um, that discussion, right? Like mental
mhm.
health topics and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I have all the answer or the answer, right? But I know my answer to like fishing for me is how I go out and I blow off my steam, right? And some guys they're in the gym, right? They're like lifting, right? That's their thing. They want to lift and get big, and that's how they blow off their steam and get their time in.
Get
Um,
yoked. Get
yeah,
yoked. Get them
it's
gains.
it's for me just a method to go out there or a means to go out and kind of reconcile my thoughts and maybe if I had a bad call or maybe something I saw something at work that wasn't necessarily didn't sit right or something maybe that for me that's what works, right? And I think that there's a lot of like-minded veterans and people who usually flock to these career fields are usually like-minded in a way in a the regard that they want to be outdoors a lot of times. They're active. They're not typically people who are just gonna sit around inside. So they have to be outside, right? Like that's in my interpretation of it, right? I have to be outside. I got to go blow off steam. I can't be cooped up inside, especially if I'm not like if I'm not comfortable with or maybe I had like I said I had a bad call or something,
You're
right?
in a bad situation,
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
or something's on your mind.
yeah, exactly.
The last thing you wanna do is, like, be stuck in your house.
Right. So for me, I
Yeah,
go fishing, and you know, there's something to be said about whether it's a 4-hour session or a 10-hour session that you're out
yeah,
there. I come back every single time, and if whoever I was when I left to go fishing, when I come back, there is just I'm happier. My mood is completely on the up and
mhm,
up. It's just like a release, right? It's just something that I do to kind of take care of my mental health,
yeah,
and it obviously works for quite a few folks because there's when you start digging deeper and you start talking to some of these guys, there's a lot of veterans who are in this community, right? There's a lot of people who are in fire, law enforcement, pre-hospital setting, and a lot of folks flock to sports like this, right? Um, so yeah, I think that for me, it's just a matter of just being outside, being able to kind of reconnect
mhm.
with my surroundings, and just kind of blow off a little bit of that steam, and you know,
You know what the great thing about is what you just said just now is just you could tell should preach this to. I hope like these tournament fishermen are really listening into this topic because it's not all about winning. It's not all about if I skunked or catching fish. It's literally being out there with your comrades and even you can turn to your neighbor and you can talk to them about how stressful you're about, when you were at work.
yeah,
It's like being able to fish, having that privilege to fish at that current time and being able to talk and develop friendship with the next guy fishing your rock pile. Like
yeah,
that's why, I mean, we all have different purposes or we all have different beliefs and opinions of why we fish, but that should be one of the reasons in order to make it like a healthy environment for yourself or for anybody out there that's looking to fish is
yeah, and
always keep it positive.
and I'd love to use this kind of as a platform to just kind of plug an organization. It's called Heroes on the Water, and
Hmm.
um, I was after I made our little Facebook group, and then Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers kind of developed into what it did. Um, I heard about the Heroes on the Water chapter that was in California, and
Hmm.
all the good things that they were doing and all that kind of stuff, and kind of spoke to those guys like, hey, how can we get something started out here in Nevada? We have a lot of
Hmm.
there's military bases all over here, fire, police, EMS, all those career fields, right? Um, and we were able to get one out here, and it was a little bit of a little feather in my cap. It's one of my more like um, I'm excited that they were able to pull it all together. I
Hmm.
just kinda helped to facilitate it the best I could, but there's guys behind the scenes who took that over for the state of Nevada. So we have a chapter of Heroes on the Water now who they take veterans out, they take military out, police officers, firefighters, paramedics. Want to go and fish for the day? You don't have a kayak, you don't have fishing rods, you don't have fishing reels, you don't have tackle. They'll take you out free of charge. And I actually was very fortunate enough that I was able to take out some of their equipment One of their representatives met us out there, and
Mhm.
my whole crew from my fire station out fishing for a day. Um,
That's awesome.
and yeah, man, it's a huge thing, and I highly recommend that. Even anybody listening to this who might know a paramedic or a firefighter or a cop or a veteran or anything like that, and just if maybe just see if they're into it. Hey, you want to come out for a day? Like let's go fishing for a day. And
Yeah, and even if they're not into fishing, like being on a kayak itself, like I had my friend film me for one of the TOCs, but that's not the point. He came out there and he was like, "Dude, this is super peaceful," you
yeah,
know?
it's. I mean, there's guys who just giving them that option, like, hey, come out here and try something out. They might not even know that they needed something like this, and it
Yeah.
might not be their fishing, but that might get that little seed in their head. Well, I'm gonna take up golf, or you know what, I
Mhm,
like being outside. Like I haven't been on my mountain bike in a while, or whatever their thing
mhm.
is. But it's like I said, it's all too common that we hear about, either people taking their own lives or anything like that, and
Yeah.
it's actually the irony of it is that unfortunately we just had a fireman decide to take his own life 2 days ago on my department, and so I stress to anybody, like, if you are finding yourself, if this if you know somebody who you think, hey man, maybe I should give them that call and just, hey, you want to go
Mhm.
fish for the day, I'm gonna take them out, you might be making a huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. Do you wanna give, this fireman a shout out, or you
I'm
wanna
gonna
keep
leave
it
it.
public? Oh, you wanna keep it private?
Yeah, we're gonna
Okay.
keep it private, probably, just
Alright.
out of respect for his family and stuff like that. I don't.
Yeah.
But
Well, I hope
it
he
comes.
rests in peace and, prayers out to his family.
Thanks. Yeah.
Um, it's good to have that awareness out there, suicidal
Yeah.
awareness, and to
And I don't
have a
mean to think
program
I'm
out there.
the mood or anything like that.
No.
I'm just big advocate for mental health and people taking care of themselves, and
Mhm.
because we're just navigating through it. Maybe
Yeah,
sometimes go fishing for a little bit.
definitely. So, is there any do you wanna talk about anything about your club event that's going on, or
Yeah, for sure. So we
Yeah.
have. So I started Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers,
Mhm,
which I sampled a couple different tournament series. I did SoCal, kind of messed around with ABA a little bit, and then I went over to Utah, checked out what they had going on, went down to Arizona, kind of looked at what they had going on, and I just picked all the little things that I liked. Came back to Nevada, made a Facebook page, thinking that I could get maybe 10 to 12 like-minded individuals who wanted to put $20 in a hat and go fish for a day and come out and see who won. And then it blew up. This Facebook page just immediately blew up.
oh,
And
wow,
and
nice.
and with that growth came people saying, "Hey, let's do real tournaments. Let's do tournaments. Let's do tournaments."
Mhm,
I was a little reluctant at first because I was like, I don't know the first. I'm still trying to figure out how to fish on my own. Like I'm
mhm,
still my stuff squared away,
yeah,
and I was like, let's figure it out. And during that time, like I said, I saw what SoCal was doing. I saw what Utah was doing in Arizona, and I was thinking to myself, like, how am I gonna freaking tackle this?
mhm,
And it was about that time that I got a hold of Frankie Provolone, who I think was in the comments a little bit ago. He
mhm,
owns Play Nation Tournament Fishing, and we talked for a little bit. I told him that I was interested in becoming a director for a series out here in Nevada under his name, under the Slay Nation name,
mhm.
and yeah, we did it. The first tournament we did showed out. It was like 26 people. Uh,
Nice.
Last year we had, I think, 7 tournaments, and each one, I think our average turnout was between 12 and 16. And like I said, we went to Southern Utah. We had a huge turnout there. Um,
You said this is Slay Nation, you said?
yeah, Slay Nation, Nevada.
Okay,
That's the
Slay
one.
Nation, Nevada.
Mhm.
Nice,
And
and you had 73 over in Utah, right?
yeah, that was between like I said, those Utah folk, they show out. That's a big
Mhm,
crowd of individuals. So a lot of that number was those folks out there. But yeah, we did a little joint tournament with them out there. Did all of our tournaments out here in Nevada, and yeah, decided to re up for a second a second year this year. So we're starting next Saturday or this coming Saturday. We got our first tournament, and then we're gonna hit the ground running. We'll have one in or February and March. We'll have one in Havasu each month, and then April we're back here in Nevada. May we're here in Nevada. June still here in Nevada, and then we're gonna take a break in July and August. We'll come back, and then we'll fish Southern Utah, and then finish off here in Nevada on Mojave. So we'll have 8 this year.
Okay. How do they qualify for the TOC?
So this year we fostered a different point system.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you're familiar with Dave Nunez. He's a director for the California Slay Nation this year.
I think I've seen him around.
He's been around the social media now, and he's been pretty active, man. He's been putting a lot of work in trying to get his trail up and running, and he and I kind of went back and forth. He showed me kind of how he was laying out some points, and I thought I was like, I really like how that looks like it's gonna work out. It's gonna keep people in contention for AOI, I think, a lot longer, and keep the participation hopefully from burning out towards the end of the season once maybe people get away from each other in points.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it'll be points based for AOI, and then TOC will be. I think we're gonna do first place winners are gonna get the invite, and then if you've already won first place, it'll roll down. If that makes sense to the next qualified.
So if you win a tournament, you're automatically in the TOC.
Yeah, or a series of tournaments. Like maybe you have to have 2 out of the 8 or something like that. Still working through it a little bit. We'll kind of figure out what we're gonna do here for that one. I wasn't expecting to have a TOC this year. That was something that Dave looks like he threw together, and so I'm just happy.
For Angler of the Year, is it just points from the regular events? It's not the TOC.
Correct.
The TOC doesn't affect points for the AOI.
Correct.
Okay, cool. I would like that. Shoot, I would have had a Hobie if it was under that rules. I think that's awesome. Yeah. That's an excellent point system. So if you guys are interested in fishing the Southern Nevada Slay Nation, go hit up. Where can they find you on Facebook? That tournament, or that association.
So Facebook, just go to your groups, type in Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers, join the club, message me. I'll get you all the information that you need to get. There's a couple other folks that are in there. Quite a few actually are in the comments right now. Armando, Elric, Bo, Louise. Anybody can reach out to any of us or me, and we'll get you squared away. But yeah, Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers is where I do most of our information and posting to get these things going. But we do have a private group for Slay Nation Nevada that all the paid memberships get automatically pulled into that one, so that way I can keep them up to date on if a ramp is going to change or something like that without flooding the other Facebook group, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, and if is there any shout outs that you want to give from the comment group? That's a good representative of the tournament scene out there. That's friendly.
There's
like if there's someone like new to kayak fishing that wants to do tournaments, has like maybe 6 months under their belt, which guy would you recommend to come up to and just like befriend or hang out with, kind of introduce him to the club, make him feel like at home? Would that be you, AJ, or would that be one of your homies?
So to be completely honest, man, I'm not trying to sugarcoat it. I think that's the beauty of this sport, right? Is that you can look in any of our you can look in our Facebook group, and all the names that are going to pop up, I'm confident would be good folks to go and figure that stuff out, or go and approach to figure that stuff out. Elric has been he's been around since day one of me starting.
What's his name? Elric. Okay.
Elric, yep.
Yeah.
Bo, he's out of Havasu, but he comes up and joins us. He's no stranger to tournament fishing. He was out at some of the ABAs with us this year and working.
Yeah, Bo, I've seen him. I've seen him on social all the time. He's definitely a supporter of Double Digit Angler. Definitely.
Armando, he's our AOI from last year, so he's no stranger.
Armando too.
Navigating this whole thing, and then Ryan Cook is my, I guess you'd call him my co-director this year. He's kind of helping me out behind the scenes stuff because been swamped. So he's kind of he's.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Down in SoCal, it could get kind of competitive down here. So, um, what I did is before I fished a few American bass tournaments, and it's super competitive. I think I have my dog scratching at my door, but let's ignore that. After that, after I stumbled a few times fishing American bass and SoCal kayak anglers, I decided to join a smaller club that was bringing in anywhere from 12 to 20 people a tournament. And it seems like the smaller ones, you kind of like build like a family faster in a
Oh
smaller
yeah,
tournament,
100
right?
100% agree.
Right.
And
You guys all chilling almost,
yeah, yeah, no,
right?
it's not uncommon to see a few of these like the night before a tournament. Right now it's a little bit
Mhm.
cold, so I don't anticipate a huge turnout for the first couple of tournaments that we have. But
Mhm.
camping, these guys show out and they're out there camping the night before, and it's not uncommon to have 8 or 9 of them, sometimes more than that, all piled around a campfire. Um, Guys are not afraid to say, "Oh yeah, 2 coves over, I was smashing them over there on a." Um,
LV500 or jig
yeah,
or
or
something.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody's. I mean, we all keep our little secrets. Maybe, oh yeah, but I didn't tell them that Nico rig had a little bit of or a little chartreuse on the tail, or
Yeah.
nobody
Yeah.
says all that kind of stuff. But I think a lot of times guys are real helpful, and everybody wants to build the sport out here. And I will say that if folks are new, if that 6 month new angler, or
Mhm.
however long, if that sounds like you and you're kind of curious, dude, that these Slay Nation tournaments are exactly for that, man. Like they're
Yeah.
super laid back. You can be as serious or as not serious as you want to getting involved. We don't discriminate motors, pedals, kayaks. You come out here with whatever it is that you got. Go out there, learn something, fish with us, hang out, introduce yourself, and um,
Yeah,
I've
and
had,
if you have any questions, hit up AJ for sure.
yeah, for sure, for
You
sure,
know,
and
if you don't know how to measure a fish or anything like that, then hit up AJ or hit up that Facebook group. I mean, these Facebook groups are taking off.
yeah,
So hit
yeah,
that up, post the questions. There's no dumb questions out there. I mean, the last thing you want to do is get a 20-inch fish, 23-inch fish denied. So definitely
yeah, for
get that
sure.
out of the way. Get the stupid questions out of the way. Just post it on the Facebook group, guys. All right.
That's a good thing too. Is find support, like you said, support some of these smaller clubs. These you know pay $50 or $60 for a tournament fee versus before you go out there and you do
Yeah,
250. You know what I mean? Because I
exactly.
was doing that all last winter. It was the Pro Series, the Trail Series,
Mhm.
and the Ironman Series, and I was every time. I was all in for all of them, and
Dude,
you
it's
go out there
depressing
and
sometimes.
make silly mistakes. You can't
Yeah.
go submit a fish with half the identifier cut off in one of those tournaments.
Nope.
That's for month long tournaments and for local stuff to make those
Yep.
mistakes. Only if you're going to. So
Yeah,
definitely,
and you gain the confidence that you do with the smaller tournaments. So when you show up, and you know what? I gotta tell you guys, like, you get a win in a Pro Series tournament or an ABA tournament, and you get first place for one of those, and then you get first place for a small little tournament club. It feels the same when you win. It feels amazing. So
are you
why not fish at a 12-person club or 16-person club, win a first place trophy and get those feelings first and then work up your way towards a bigger one?
for
What are
sure?
you going to say, AJ?
No, I got to thinking when you were talking about you last year had a hell of a year.
Mhm.
Um, if you don't mind me asking, let me turn the tables a little bit. What are your plans for this year? Are you chasing Working Man or Iron Man again, or
I
ABA? I don't
think
know.
I'm slowing down this season. Like I kind of want to learn to love the sport again and just go out and just have fun fishing.
What was your biggest accomplishment last year? Was it the San V or what?
I'd say it was probably San Vicente.
Yeah,
Probably San Vicente. Just because Dominic Doan was never, you know, never one of those heavy hitters, never one of those guys to look for like, oh dude, he's a stick, he's a hammer.
Yeah.
Um and I never really sealed the deal of getting a first place trophy as a solo angler tournament fisherman. Back in the days 2008, I got angler of the year. Actually, my parents brought it to me, which is really
Oh,
cool. Is
and you
I
just
got 2008. It's a flashback. 2008 Angler of the Year for Sonoma County Belly Boat Bass Club. That's pretty cool, right? But I didn't even win a first place. It always kind of bothered me that I never won first place trophy. But then, San Vicente came and dude, I didn't even know the lake. That was my second time fishing that lake, period. And that was probably the biggest accomplishment that I've had, especially falling out of a kayak too.
Oh,
And
that was epic. I cannot believe
yeah.
I come rolling into the freaking into the camp and you got that thing.
Yeah, puffed up. Yeah, it's so embarrassing. It was bad unsportsmanlike conduct of slamming the rod in the water and then losing my balance and falling in. But I deserved it. And then I fished on and I fished as hard as I can.
Is that how it went down? You got a little aggro and
Yeah. I'll tell you what happened. So I'm fishing, right? I cast out. I'm live scoping fish that are suspending in, 25, 30 feet of water off the bank. And these fish are just waiting for bait to come by. And they're solo fish. They're not grouped up schools of fish. They're just one fish hanging out in the suspending in deep water. So I cast my Kitech, let it fall, open bell, close the bell, and he's already on. Zzz, right? But you know that there's submerged brush and trees down there
yep.
everywhere there, right? And you're
Yeah.
getting snagged constantly. And then on top of that, you got that quagga muscle that's super sharp that shreds your line, right? So I'm like, bring him in, bring him in, bring him. And then he swims down in the trees and gets caught up, right? And then it snaps off, right? And I caught like a 17, a 16 and a half, and like 16 and a quarter. And I had maybe two more fish to go, and that just broke off, right? So I was just like, my gosh, like that's the second time that has happened to me because those quagga mussels are the devil out there, in those submerged trees. They just break you off like no other. So I slammed the rod down to the surface of the water. I was like, no, slam. And then my left foot got caught like
Oh,
near my seat. And then I tripped and then I fell into the water. Got one of my GoPros all wet. So that GoPro was like completely trash for the day. So I only had the back GoPro, which didn't have that great audio. So I was kind of pissed off, but I was just like, went to the bank, got my spot lock motor. I turned my motor. I held on to my boat and I just motored to the bank. Got up. My feet are like soaking wet,
did
and
you
my
know where you were sitting as far as like what place you were in when that went down? Like, did that have any like? Was that like at least a little bit of like a silver lining in the whole
okay.
thing?
So I mean,
Yeah,
I
just
think you were there. So I was second place. I took second place in the trail
yeah.
on day one.
But you took first in pro, right?
I took first in pro, and I took first in the ABA.
Oh, the
Uh,
ABA. Okay, okay.
yeah. So I took first. I'm a much better 2-day fisherman. I took first in the pro series and the ABA series. But so after that I had 3 fish. That's why I was so upset that could have been my 4th fish, right? So once I got to the bank, I knew I was in contention because I had all 16s and 17s at that point, right? So it took on average maybe like 80 to 85 inches and 80 to 86 inches, and I'm golden. If you are anywhere around there, I was golden, right? So I had 3 fish that was more than capable of helping me out through the day. And so I had 2 more fish to go. So I sat in my boat and I was like, okay, it's either I could be miserable right now and throw a fit, and not overcome this obstacle with this floating device on my, like, squeezing my cheeks together like this, like, And I have to wear it because it's in the rules. You have to wear PFD at all times.
Yep.
So I had to wear it. So I'm wearing it, and I'm still live scoping these single fish. And then what do you know? I catch 2 more. I have roughly around like 82 inches, 83. And then I see Tim. I'm still sitting in second place. And I see Tim that has like 3/4 of an inch or inch in front of me.
Oh,
And
because
I'm like,
he took
shoot,
first on day one, right?
huh?
He took
He,
first on day one,
he
right?
took first on day one, and he was in the lead again. On day
Yeah.
2, he was in the lead again. So I caught my 5th fish in my area, and I'm still like an inch behind him. So I go back to my first area, and I stick a fish that's a line burner, literally a line burner that put me 1/4 of an inch in front of Tim. And I didn't know, I didn't know if I got it or not. And so I told Tim, I was like, you probably got me because
And that was
I
all
don't.
you were still live scoping using those little Kitechs at the time?
Yes, yes. Yep.
The
And so at that point, I was just like, I'm cool with second place, Like I'm done chasing the dream of getting first place. And I go up to the ramp. I'm like, Tim asked me, hey man, just tell me the truth. Do you think you got her? You got me or not? And I'm like, I really don't know. I think you got me because I don't think I didn't have the calculations set up or anything like that. But then I was like, maybe I'll do my own calculations, really figure it out. And at that point, I was like, damn, I think I'm 1/4 of an inch on top of Tim. So I went back to Tim and I was like, dude, I gotta apologize. I think I might have gotten you. And then Tim goes like, well, let's wait until like Amanda announces the news. And then I was just like, okay, all right. And
dude,
then
easy going, dude. It was probably like just that laid back, like, yeah, man, just we'll see, you know.
yeah, we'll see. Like,
I've
and at
never
that point too, I didn't know if I would win. I'm just stating like I did calculations and I thought I was 1/4 inch ahead. So it ain't official until the bell is rung.
sure.
So he called my name. There was a hack though. There's not a lot of people that know this. But I found out
Yes, I know what you're about.
shortly before.
Yep.
One of the guys, one of my
Bradley,
buddies, huh?
'cause Bradley was doing the.
Bradley, yes, one of the dudes, my
I
homies.
was telling him not to. Remember? I was like, no, no, dude,
Yeah,
don't.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I was on the cusp. I don't
yeah,
remember. Remember, if you remember right, all I
yeah,
wanted one of these big checks for my wall. I didn't care about it.
uh-huh,
I was like, if I could get
yeah,
checks, and I knew I had to get 6th or better, and I was like,
yeah,
oh, I don't think I got it. And Brad was like, I could tell you.
yeah,
Don't. Don't tell me. He's like, no, no, I can show you right now. And he's like, don't do it. I'm like, no, 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 because I wanted the surprise, and I ended up getting.
yeah.
I put it up here on the wall. I was all excited about that. That was a
But you
funny.
did know that I knew that I took it,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because I kind of wanted to know because I did have a line burner fish, or I was like, it could either go either way.
Hmm.
And it went my way. I got first place. That was my biggest accomplishment that year, is because I wasn't known in the kayak community then, you know? I was never like one of those guys, like I was one of those. I felt like a stranger to the kayak community then. Like no one knew me.
But you came from float tubes, right? And
I
boats.
came from float tubes, but I took a break between 2000, let's say 2009 to 2022 or 2021. I fished a few times in between that time, but I took a huge break. And then my first kayak I bought was in 2021.
And that was Shane's old boat, yeah?
No, that was a 106 PDL.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's
and
your
no one knew me.
what's your home body of water?
Uh Clear Lake, Spring Lake,
Oh,
back in
really?
the days. Yeah, I was part of Sonoma County.
You fish the Delta quite a bit? I've seen quite a few of your videos. It doesn't seem like you're on the Delta as much as some of those guys. Is that how far of a drive is that from you?
Well, back then, I'm talking about back then, it was a home lake for me, but the home lake that right now is Castaic and Pudding
Oh, okay.
Stone. Yeah, but back in the day it was Spring Lake, Clear Lake, the Delta, Sonoma County. Those
Gotcha.
were all like within 2 hours away. But now it's all Castaic and and Pudding Stone. But
Gotcha.
yeah, that was like my biggest accomplishment is just putting myself on the radar, because I always felt like that that unknown guy that's always bubbling. You know what I mean? That never
Yeah,
finished in the top 10 or something like that. Just missing the cut barely and then not making a name for myself out there where like, oh, I know Dominic. Yeah, he's cool. No one knew me. I think the first guy I knew from ABA was Ku Yang, and I met him after the tournament at Starbucks. But before then, I've never really created any friends from the ABA club, and that's
yeah,
one of the biggest things is like I recommend people to join clubs that are like 12 people, 15 people that are really close with each other. It's because you developed a really good friendship from the beginning. And I
yeah,
hope everybody from the club is like super friendly because and open arms because it is very intimidating for someone that's jumping back into fishing or new to fishing and seeing
yeah, for
40
sure.
of these guys with black pack pros with like antennas sticking out of their their crate.
Like I was looking at, but I
Yeah.
will say, man, my first event was with SoCal. I went
Yeah.
out to the Lower Otai, and dude, I
Mhm.
showed up. Gosh, man, I was all kinds of messed up. I showed up like 10 minutes before launch, like, dude, just
Mhm.
a mess, like, I actually wasn't going to fish the event. I was gonna back out last minute because we were having some issues, with our camping reservation down in Chula
Mhm.
Vista,
Yeah.
and so I was, like, done with the trip, I was kinda there was some stuff that was going on that was really irritating, but ended up going anyways, and man, it was the best decision because I mean, here we are now, like,
Yeah.
doing my thing out here in Las Vegas and trying to get stuff going out here, and
Mhm.
it's all when I showed up to the ramp, I was looking for an identifier, and
Oh, man.
that
Yeah, that's
what's
crazy.
he has a YouTube channel, super nice dude, Zach.
Zach Taylor?
Uh, what's his YouTube channel called?
Yak and Zach?
Yeah, he came from he was in the military, I think.
Yeah, he's in the military.
Yeah, so I'm like, hey man,
Yeah.
like, would you happen to have another identifier? He's, oh
Is
yeah,
is his voice is
and
like,
I just
"What up,
remember,
guys? Welcome back to YouTube channel. This is Zach."
oh, yeah, yeah, dude, identifier, and he might not even realize it, dude, but that kind of stuff goes. I mean, it
Goes
like
a
you
long ways.
well, for a new guy, you don't
Yeah.
like, dude, this guy's gonna think I'm an idiot, and then you go out there and I'm just blind casting. I don't even have
Mhm.
electronics on my kayak at this time, and I'm a new angler, right? I'm seeing
Mhm.
tules. I don't know how to fish tules. We don't have a lot of them out here. We have all chunk rock,
Yeah.
and I can't remember who it was, but somebody came up to me and they're like, "Hey, you're the dude from Nevada, right?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"How would you know that? Like, how would you know?" And obviously on Tourney X it says like Nevada right next to your thing, whatever.
Mhm.
But they were also like, it just seems like maybe they were just so close that I was the one like anomaly, right? So they're like, "Oh, this must be
Mhm.
the dude from Nevada," and everybody was super cool. Um, yeah, and that I mean that is why I came back home and I was like, "Dude, we need that here. We got to make that
Yeah.
happen here," and it's in full effect. Like it's
Nice. So that was SoCal Kayak Anglers?
yeah.
So they kind of had an influence on you to kinda go out and do the same exact thing in Nevada.
Sort of, yeah. I mean,
Yeah. Well,
between
like that attitude, like that
yeah, and then
positive,
and all
helpful
the Utah
attitude.
folks, and then yeah, I got to experience some of the Arizona people and how they run stuff, and yeah,
Mhm.
man, it's they are all instrumental in me putting this together, which again only was a Facebook group.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of started building up, and man, we had a lot going on, man. We have a lot going on right now, but um, hopefully steady growth, continue to grow the sport, continue to grow some stuff out here. It would
Mhm.
be really cool. It's my long-term goal that we have some kind of a regional event on Lake Mojave or Lake Mead, depending on how water levels are and stuff like that.
That's
um,
awesome.
I think it would really open a lot of people's eyes. I mean, to come out here and see like 150-foot rock faces, and you cast out to that rock wall and you're catching smallmouth, or you're fighting in big striper or whatever it is, and I think it'd be real cool to see something happen out here. But
Yeah, I gotta go check it out. I gotta go check it out the next time I run through. I mean, it's not that far from me, is it?
Yeah,
From LA downtown?
yeah, you're looking probably 7 hours or so, I think.
Oh, 7?
Maybe, yeah, depending on where you decided to lodge and
Yeah.
stuff. If you're gonna come out here, man, just do the Las Vegas thing. Go fishing for
Mhm.
a day or two. I won't lie, the fishing out here can be tough. I mean, we have ultra clear water. Lake
Like 20 or
Mojave.
30?
What's that?
20 or 30, you said?
Uh, Feet
20
deep.
feet visibility?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's
What
about
about 30?
what's
You
that?
get 30 feet of visibility or no?
Time, depending on the time of year, I
It's
would,
crystal clear?
dude. It is crazy. I mean, you can have any guys in the comments that fish these areas, man. Lake Mead, Lake Mojave. Lake Mead can be a little bit more murky, kind of.
Mhm,
I would say it's kind of stained, but
mhm.
yeah, Mojave is like gin clear, and I mean it's incredible to see them during the spawn. Like they'll be on beds that are
Wow.
15 feet, 20 feet deep, and you're like, what the heck is going on?
30. It's like
But
50,
yeah,
30 to
definitely
50.
avoid it out here between July and August. June, I'm serious, man. If you come out here, lots of
Yeah.
water, launch at like 7 p.m. and fish until you know 1 a.m.
Midnight, 1
Yeah,
AM. Why?
at,
Is it because there's too many personal watercrafts out there, like jet
uh,
skiers?
so that does play a part, sort of. But a lot of it is
Mhm.
just the heat in the monsoons. If you get out here, that heat is unforgiving. 115. I caught my PB smallmouth on Lake Mojave 2 years ago, and it was I think 118.
Damn.
My graph was reading, if I'm not mistaken, 92-degree water temp.
Dang, surface temp's 92? So night fishing is big deal over there then, huh?
Oh yeah, this kayak is completely rigged out with lights. I mean, I got lights all over this thing because that's
You
I
guys
won't.
have night tournaments yet or no?
We had one last year, and
Yeah.
the Arizona group does some, I think, also.
Mhm.
They share Lake Mojave with us because they'll come up from Arizona and fish Mojave, or we'll come from Nevada and fish Mojave. So we'll meet up every now and again. Um, the director for Slay Nation Arizona, who actually put me on to Slay Nation, that's how I met them. Was at a night tournament.
Mm.
Yeah, it was like
Uh,
5 to 1 a.m. or something like that.
we have, Ramon asking, how are the bugs in Nevada at night?
Um,
Nevada.
Not terrible. I mean, you throw your face shield on and a little bit of bug spray, you're usually okay. They're just going to be attracted to your lighting. So no white lights. Keep your 360 light on, obviously. But as far as like everything else, try to dim it down.
Mhm.
I've heard that blue and red lights they don't care for, but I seem to still get a couple. Some nights are better than worse, but I wouldn't say it's anything like what I experienced living in Hawaii or back east with the
Mhm.
humidity and stuff. We don't. It's nothing like that. If anything,
Oh,
it's just
do
annoying because you just hear them. They're not like
yeah.
biting, and it's just like, oh,
Oh. So go out, do the Vegas thing, and then go fishing on
yeah.
another
I mean,
day?
I would do a day of fishing first, and then
Yeah.
do the night stuff. Because if I don't know about you, man, but the nightlife, I can't wake up the next morning after a bad night. Like,
You don't even have to wake up. You're already awake at, like,
yeah,
5 in the morning
seriously.
in Vegas.
Last thing I want to do is be on my kayak, freaking just. Uh,
Mimosas all day long, and then you stay all the way up and then go fishing the next
yeah.
day. Alright, good night, Bo. Bo says good night.
I'll take it easy.
Uh, and then Irvin says no mosquitoes, so that's a plus.
Yep.
All right, well, I think that concludes this podcast. Is there any shout outs that you want to do, AJ? Do
Ooh,
you want to quickly do a shout out for your club again and any sponsors that you want to shout out or anybody that, has saved
yeah,
your life?
yeah. So first and foremost, shout out to my wife and my kid. My daughter and my wife. Like I said earlier in the podcast, fishing is definitely something that I need to kind of just relax and unwind, and they make sure that I get my time on the water. And it's not always the nicest thing for me to come home from work and then the next morning I'm out gone all day fishing, but they let me get my time on the water, and they're super supportive. So that's huge shout out to them.
Mhm.
Um, as far as for anybody interested in what we got going on out here, they can go on Facebook and just search Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers.
Southern Nevada Kayak Anglers,
Yep.
guys.
And then, yeah, I'm on Instagram, Southern Nevada Kayak Angler.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, Slay Nation Nevada Tournament Fishing. Huge shout out to Frank from Slay Nation for kind of helping us out and giving me the opportunity to direct a trail out here, really paving the way for me to come in. And this thing was turnkey, man. Like he gave me, I had all the rules, I had the opportunity to kind of tweak things as I would see fit. So huge shout out to him, and big thanks to all the sponsors and everything that support Slay Nation. Um, and then for me, a couple little pro staff deals, Woo Tungsten, Spear Point Hooks, Eternal Lithium. They've all been super helpful. And yeah, man, thanks for having me on. It's been, it's awesome to be on one of these podcasts. There's no shortage of talent out there for you to pull from. The sport is growing, and there's some incredible anglers out there, and their stories are just as good, man, if not better. So I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come out here and talk, and hope to do it again sometime, man.
Yeah, man. I hope I get to see you this year. That would be awesome. I hope I get to see all my podcasters or podcast interviewees this year. That would be cool. But
So did you say you were going to follow any specific trail or no?
no, I think I'm gonna lay low. Maybe do some SoCal kayak angler tournaments.
Yeah, maybe I'll have to go out there, and I think that they have an open. Maybe I'll come and check out their open if it's not too soon.
Yeah, you never know. I might hop on. Work has really picked up for me in this last couple weeks. Just keep on my ears open, my eyes wide open of certain jobs. But who knows if I qualify for the West Coast Championship, or if last minute I want to do a KBF Delta or something like that. That's the good thing about having a slower season, is that you could cherry pick one major event that you
Yeah,
want to do.
sure.
But yeah, I haven't decided on anything as of yet.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Yeah, hopefully I can make it out there sometime, and if not, dude, it doesn't even have to be a tournament, dude. If I ever head up that way, I'll holler at you. Let's go again.
Dude, just meet me up. Yeah, whenever you're in California, hit me up.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Yeah, I want to demo that Recon 120.
Oh, telling you, man, underrated kayak for sure.
Yeah, I
Underrated
want to test it out, dude. I want to test out every single kayak.
for sure.
I know everybody's on that Hobie PA14 gang, but it's like, why not demo everything? Who knows?
Hey, the Hobies are nice, man. They're nice.
Yeah, they are. All right, AJ, you have a good night. Get back to your wife and children, man.
Appreciate
I'll
you, man.
talk to you later, dude.
Good luck this season.
All right, thanks, brother. Talk to you later.